Welcome to Queer View Mirror, a show about queer people, by queer people, and for queer people and our allies. I am Dawn.
And I'm Scott, and we're thrilled to be here hosting our very first episode, our pilot episode, in fact, featuring a gay pilot. How clever are we?
Of course we are, darling.
What else are we talking about today, Dawn?
Well, today we are going to be talking about our values, our vision, and what we are all about here in Queer View Mirror. It's going to be a fabulous episode, so you gotta stay tuned.
We're here to inspire positive change in the world by showcasing a diverse global queer community that is authentic and full of innovation.
I love our vision and our values the way you say it, Scott. With all that being said, let's go to the interview with Captain Dean Sela.
You just like saying captain.
Of course.
I have a very special guest. This being our pilot episode of Queer View Mirror, I thought it would be fitting to invite an actual pilot. So for our pilot episode, I'd like to welcome pilot Dean, or Captain, I should call you Captain, right?
Yeah.
Dean Sela. Thank you for taking the time to be with us here on the show. So were you originally from Toronto, or were you born?
So I was actually born in Israel, and we moved here. Yeah, so my first language is Hebrew, but we moved here when I was quite young. I was 2 years old, and my mom and my dad, and I have a sister that was born here, but they really wanted to be in Canada. They thought it was a beautiful place, a great country, and my mom moved here to work on her PhD, and so I've been here since the age of 2. So basically, not born here, but almost like raised in Toronto. And actually, my entire passion for flying comes from back then, actually.
Oh yeah, because you mentioned that we were going to lead off with a different question, but when I was reading this little bio that you sent me, you started to learn to fly when you're only 16 years old. You flew before you drove.
That's right. Because I was born in Israel, we used to fly back every year, back and forth. And my dad, not a pilot at all, but he just knew basic stuff, the wing, the flaps, the engine, stuff like that. So we would sit at the window, he would point it out to me. Back then you could actually go to the flight deck, so I would go and visit the pilots and say hi to them in flight. Can you imagine? On El Al of all airlines.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was great. So that's where my passion built for flying. And so ever since I can remember, I've always wanted to fly.
So how did you pursue that then? Because it says here you got licensed as a private pilot at 17. That's quite amazing. How did you manage to do that? Did you have connections or something?
Thank you. No, so I told my parents, I said, I was in high school. I said, I want to be a pilot. I was reading a lot of books about it, and I said, I'm going to do this. I actually worked 3 part-time jobs to pay for it, and I saved money. Yeah, so I was able to save some money to be able to pay for it. And my parents thought I was a bit crazy, but they said, if you want to do it, go for it. We're not, we don't have all this money from the trees, my mom always said. So you got to figure it out. So I did, and I started to take private lessons. And then, by the time I was 17, I was licensed as a private pilot, which is one of the first license that you can get. And, funnily, my mom at the time, I remember she said, okay, that's awesome. I'm so proud of you, but this doesn't help me driving your sister around to her different things. So get your driver's license now. I was lucky, I guess. I always sort of had that vision and direction in my life, and I really wanted to pursue it. And I did. So it goes to say, if you have a dream, follow it, and especially in anything that's a passion. And not to say that it's easy, because it was not easy. There's hardship, there's failure, all of that stuff, rejection. But you just, if it's important to you, you'll go through it, and eventually you'll reach those goals.
Now, in relation to our community, the LGBTQ community, so you were 17. Were you out at the time, or were you still somewhat in the closet?
That's a great question. It's a very important part of a piece to my story, actually. I was 17. I was sort of questioning my sexuality, was very confused. I didn't have any role models then to look up to. The NGPA back then existed, but it was very US driven, and I reached out to them, and there was really not a whole lot of response to Canadians back then, especially if you were as young as I was. And so very different organization. Now, Canadian Aviation Pride, which I mentioned to you earlier, Don, that Steve Bell and I co-founded in 2008, was way later in life, from 17, when I was 17. So I struggled with the being gay. I suppressed it. I didn't accept it, and I pretended to be, to fit into society as a straight person. And I had girlfriends and all that stuff that we sometimes try to do. And so it wasn't until I was in my early 20s that I actually started dancing, because that's another one of my passions, is dance. And that area of that artistic outlet allowed me to explore a little bit more of myself, which was amazing. So I would say through that, flourished into becoming who I was. I met my first boyfriend, and then I started really coming out of my shell, and I came out of the closet to my family, to my friends. You are coming out every single time that you go to work, because you're flying with new people every single time you go to work. There are over 4,000, almost 5,000 pilots at Air Canada, for example. So you're not always flying with the same person twice. You may not even see the same person twice in 1 year. So
wow.
Yeah, so it's your choice what you decide is acceptable or not for your day at work. But I can say that I'm very myself. I'm authentically myself, and it feels wonderful. And I feel like if you can be your authentic self, you're a much better, happier human being. You're more productive at work, all that stuff. So it's been a journey, and it was a really important element to why I felt like I really wanted to essentially shed light for people coming into the industry, especially younger people who may have felt the way that I felt. And so that's why these organizations I work with, Canadian Aviation Pride and the NGPA, for example, are important to me, because they allow, and I've had conversations with so many young people that's their biggest question. How can you be yourself and also, how can you be gay and also be a captain at our national, carrier airline? And so I kind of walk them through that, and I feel like if I've helped one person, then my job is done. That's awesome. So yeah,
it's wonderful. Up until today, or a few weeks ago, when we started to talk, I never even realized there was such a thing as NGPA and Cascade Flyers and Canadian Aviation Pride. I mean, the sense of community is very important, especially nowadays, that we need to reach out and we need support from one another. So having built a community like that, kudos to you, and thank you for sharing that story. So you have NGPA, that's the National Gay Pilots Association.
Canadian Aviation Pride is an organization that's mostly a social networking organization in Canada. They do amazing work. As I mentioned, I co-founded it with Steve. I was the chair. And then I still work with them very, very closely. In fact, we're working on a virtual Pride right now for Toronto.
Oh, there you go.
And then we'll continue that to the other cities across Canada.
So you mentioned, so basically NGPA, which is going to be transformed or rebranded into what again?
Yeah, so we're the worldwide LGBT aviation community. Our mission is to build, support, and unite the aviation community worldwide. And that's via a destination of being equal, respected, and authentic everywhere. So that's our full...
So that's sort of like the umbrella organization. Then you have Cascade Flyers, then you have Canadian Aviation Pride, which is just Canada-based, I suppose?
Yeah, so we do have what we would call affiliate organizations, and Canadian Aviation Pride is one of our affiliates. They're not a chapter of us. They don't have to report to us. We're not connected financially. But we work very closely with them because of course they exist in Canada, and of my relationship with that organization, and we just work on pushing the love out to everyone and of acceptance and all of that good stuff. Yeah.
And I can't get out, like, Dean, you're very succinct and precise. It's fantastic.
Okay.
I guess any question I would have is if somebody wanted to reach out to your organization, what's the easiest way to find you?
So the easiest way would be ngpa.org. If you put those letters into your browser, it'll come up and you can find everything there. If anyone wants to reach out to me particularly, you'll probably see my name on the Zoom call there, but it's just Dean Sela. If you email me, dean.sela@ngpa.org, I'll personally get it.
And Dean, do you offer any kind of youth mentoring or mentoring for young pilots coming in?
Yeah, so we just launched a new program, which is exactly that. It's a mentorship program that we're using our own members who are a bit older to help the younger ones as they come through. And we're connected to quite a few flight schools, mostly in the US. And again, we're working to expand that internationally. But yeah, absolutely. We do have a mentorship program. It will probably be one of the drop downs on the website. But it does exist, and students that are interested pay I don't remember what the price is, but it's not a whole lot to be a member. To be a regular member, it's only $49 per year, and so a student membership is much less. And yeah, you would certainly have access to our mentorship program, our scholarship programs. That will be coming out, I believe, early June is when we open the doors for accepting applicants for the scholarships. And then that's usually announced in September, mid-September or so.
Okay, just as a recap, so you started flying at 17, you flew your first plane before you drove your first car.
Yeah.
Just 17. And then you pursued your career, your passion as a pilot.
Yeah.
Okay. And you got started very young. So Dean is it okay if we mention your age or just edit it out?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you said you're 35 now.
Yes, that's right.
35 and singles, no, not ladies.
Single, yeah.
Wrong show, Dawn, wrong show.
Oh, it could be a segment of the show, you know.
That'll be next week's episode.
Yeah.
Such an adventure, such a time, and such a connection. I'm so glad you were able to come on the show today. Captain Dean Sela, I salute you. Thank you very much for what you're doing, especially for the LGBTQ community in the aviation industry. It's remarkable, and I'm so glad we were able to make this connection and for you to take the time on the show. And that's our show for today. We'll catch you next time.
Wasn't that a terrific interview with Dean?
Don't you mean Captain Dean? Yes, it sounds like Dean has had a tremendous journey in his career, and he's making a real difference connecting so many groups in the aviation industry and the queer community.
That's fabulous. That's what our community is all about. Speaking of community, we have our amazing band Panamore with some feel-good vibes for all of us. Introducing Panamore!
Here's a queer view mirror where the gayest folks are found. It's all about the fun we share with everyone around. We need to change the world with love, message for every heart. In a life of love and music, it's where the feeling starts. There's a rainbow-colored sky and hearts that are made of gold. In the treasure of our lives, all the stories now unfold. It's a time that's filled with laughter, and love is at its call. Our quirky host, Don and Scott, give the Queer View Mirror more.
What a great show we had today, Scott. Do you think we gave everyone a fabulous first impression?
I think we did. And we got a chance to share with all our viewers what we think is most important about Queer View Mirror as a show for everyone.
I agree. And now let's talk about what's coming up in our next episode.
Next time on Queer View Mirror, we go deep into a conversation about gender dysphoria. Our special guest and dearest friend, Erin LeBlanc, author of the Amazon Top 10 bestseller, Stranger in the Mirror, will share her powerful testimonial and story about her amazing journey. You don't want to miss that. Queer View Mirror is all about sharing, experience, expression, and empowerment. Queer View Mirror mission is to inspire positive change in the world by showcasing a diverse, inclusive, and innovative global queer community that is authentic and empowering. We would love to hear from you. If you would like to share your story and journey to authenticity, please reach out to us. Send us an email at qvmirror@gmail.com. That's qvmirror@gmail.com.